Chapter A Friend in Need, a Friend Indeed. Athens, Greece, October 2nd to 7th, 1997. After a very beautiful day playing tourist with Brad Lackfield, a young Australian man met the night before at the youth hostel, we walked around and snapped pictures. An early evening, I phoned my friend Yanni, John, in at home. He told me to grab a cab driver to give him the phone so he could tell him where to drive me, so I did. I climbed in the cab, we arrived at the meeting point, I got out, and he paid the fare. And there we were talking and laughing together for a good 10 minutes. His wife waited for us, so we jumped in another cab, and we are on the way. I'm not sure what Yanni told his wife on the first night of my visit, but during the following 5 days that I spent at their home, from time I rose up until I lay down for the night, she pretty well force-fed me. I knew I had lost lots of weight since mid-August, the beginning of my almost none to no money at all European tour, but not that much. In August, when I arrived in Czech Republic, I weighed 72 kilos of muscles. But after overfeeding me, 5 days in Athens, and then 4 days at my friend Czech Republic, and my return in Montreal the third week of October, I tipped the scale. I tipped the scale at 56 kilos. That's not much, man. That's 112. That's 124.2 pounds. Yanni and me worked a few years together at his sister restaurant in Calgary. He knew me well at 75 kilos. Probably when Yanni saw me the first night, I couldn't weigh more than 50 kilos, so I was for him a real walking skeleton. During my stay, I explained to him that I wanted to hitchhike up to Prague to take my return flight home. He didn't seem to agree with my plans. He had never hitchhiked himself. He was telling me that it was too dangerous. One night he called our common friend Nick Neotis. He had been a manager at the same restaurant, Top's Pizza and Steakhouse. Nick told me that he would come to see me before I left. He came on Sunday night. Once at home, Nick told me Malaka, which means you jerk. Yanni tells me that you want to hitchhike all the way to Prague? No, you're going to take the train. Then he brought out a handful of money. I was not allowed to refuse it. After a half hour, he left. Once he was satisfied that I could take the train, Yanni finally let me leave on Tuesday morning. The train ticket price was more than double than first thought, so I took one for Belgrade only. Chapter A Friend in Need, a Friend Indeed. Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Sometime 2002-2006, in that neighborhood. All I know is that I was going out west, more than likely to the Okanagan Valley, BC, and at the end of spring. I had the time to do a small detour to see my buddy Woody. Woody and I have worked seismic together, oil and gas exploration, in Alberta and British Columbia. It had been a few years since we saw each other, so we had lots of catching up to do, which we did all night. A bunch of stories worth to mention, but a few of them that shouldn't be mentioned except to a well-acquainted inner circle. University degree, out of work, I think for now, I knew that he was not too rich. That didn't stop him from welcoming me in with open arms. I practically had no money on me, and knowing his situations, I never dared to bum any from him either. Before bedtime, he asked me if I had a tent. Oddly enough, I didn't have one at the moment. He tells me that before I leave tomorrow morning that he would give me one that one of his buddies forgot there a long time ago. We got up, had breakfast, he found the tent, he gave it to me. I inspected quickly, everything seems to be there, and I strapped it on my backpack. While I was drinking my last coffee before going, I heard him in his room rummage through something metallic. As I was about to go, he gave me a little brown paper bag containing a little lunch. He said there was 2 muffins that he baked, and a banana. I put the paper bag safely inside my little backpack. We shook hands, and I left. Regina bound, then I turned left to Calgary. I got a ride straight to Regina. Just before getting to Regina, I told the driver that I was going to eat the banana in my lunch before it get too damaged. I opened the brown paper bag and pulled out the banana. Dear Woody, he had scotch taped on the banana a little plastic bag holding about $10 worth of quarter, dimes, and nickel. That's a real buddy. He dropped me off at the gas station. I bought a coffee with my new wealth. A couple of rides later, I was dropped off in the dark, strong wind, in the middle of nowhere, in a parking lot of a forever shut down motel. Behind it, like, I was like I kind of went away from the wind. I blocked myself from the wind. So behind it, I set up my new to me tent for the night. Thanks, Woody. Chapter A Friend in Need. A Friend Indeed. Rabat, Morocco, February 2012. Once again, I lost my passport. After trying to find it back and went to the embassy to see if somebody had returned it to, but no. I had to go to the local police to acquire an official declaration of passport loss so I could apply through the embassy for an emergency passport to return to Canada. I was staying at my friend Driss Annin, the shoe cobbler, family home. Once I had informed Driss of my misfortune, he told me that he was going to come with me at the police commissariat. During the first interview, the officer that was taking my statement realized I had surpassed by a few weeks my legal Kingdom of Morocco 90 days stay. He let the commissioner know about it, whom transferred my case upstairs with another officer that spoke French extremely good. The officer explained to Driss in Arabic, then to me in French, that since I had exceeded my legal 90 days, that I was accused of illegal stay on the territory of the Kingdom of Morocco. So I had to go to the courthouse to be judged, and then we will see after that. Since there was a paddy wagon getting ready to leave for the courthouse, I would have a ride there. After a half-hour waiting upstairs, we went downstairs and I climbed the back of the wagon with others accused. I was the only one not wearing handcuffs. I could see and hear Driss outside, behind the vehicle, behind the van, right? Talking loud and argumentatively with the police. Like, he's making like moves and stuff there. He's arm slapping, he's yapping. He's arguing. Quite the argument, anyway. Once the last guy in, the officer with a shrug gave up arguing with Driss. Then Driss, on his own free will, got in the wagon and sat beside me. The cop didn't want him to go inside, and he just wouldn't listen. How many people do you know that would have done that? To argue with the cops, and he sat in the paddy wagon with me. He stayed with me during the whole process and the court appearance. He made sure that nothing inappropriate happened to me. Once in the courtroom, he sat on the spectator side and me on the accused side. That was the first time ever in a courtroom or courthouse, but not me. I believe that it was more nervous than me. Finally, I got a 200 dirham, like $23.50 fine, and a month suspended sentence, so I'm free to go. For my return flight, Rabat, Canada, his son and him drove me to the airport. Just before we say our goodbyes, he told me, "See you next time, inshallah."